Goldfinger. I, I'm a fan of Moonraker, which is different, but again, I like that sort of idea of things kind of expanding out to a little bit unrealistic. So it just makes Bond all that more cool when he just kind of handles it in a situation where something so wild to him is something so easily solvable. It's just like, oh, there you go, take that, Drax.
And least favorite?
Definitely Quantum of Solace, Octopussy, and Diamonds, I suppose. But even that's sort of kind of fun for me to watch too.
So, favorite, I'll say From Russia with Love. Though I won't explain it because I expect Kenneth is going to be elaborating on why like the final showdown is a fantastic scene in that movie.
Oh, which the one where he fights Grant, or where he fights
Grant versus Grant. Although I will say, I like the fact that Rosa Klebb shows up like in the hotel. She's not like a supervillain, you know. She's like a hardcore Russian Secret Service agent, and she's like going to dress up as a maid so she can stab Bond with her boot. Like she's just hardcore. She's just gonna straight up kill a guy the old-fashioned way. I do like that. And I will say Thunderball, I thought was really well directed.
Yes.
I thought David mentioned that he liked in Casino Royale that they have the guy explaining the card game for the benefit of the audience if they don't know how to play the Texas Hold'em poker, which was probably a good idea because that was sort of a fad, I guess.
Yeah.
So for later audiences, but in Thunderball they play Baccarat, and it's directed so well that you understand what's going on even though most people have no idea how to play Baccarat. And so, you know, it's just a really good movie. That's just a small example of something I liked about it. And I'll have to say Live and Let Die, just because as a kid I just loved the atmosphere of that movie. It like blew my mind, and I'm just prejudiced now. I can't get over the fact that I used to love that movie as a little kid.
All right. And least favorite films in this series?
Least favorite, obviously, I'll have to say On Her Majesty's Secret Service, for reasons that I went to in depth in the past.
How did I forget to mention that? Yeah.
And I will say the old comedy Casino Royale movie, which has some very fun moments, but as a film overall, it's a complete disaster.
But what else? What else? Any others?
Oh God, I don't know. No.
Okay.
I don't want to get in trouble. I'm already in enough trouble
All right.
on the internet.
Well, it was my favorite was kind of like a tie at first. It was between Casino Royale and You Only Live Twice, and I think the winner is You Only Live Twice, because Casino Royale, it's a great film.
Yeah.
The only problem is after you watch it once, it's like you don't want to watch it again. You Only Live Twice is one of those movies, it's like a classic. You can watch it over and over, and you're not going to get tired of it. And it was written by Roald Dahl, my favorite author. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Any least favorite films in the series, or do you have more favorites?
Well, one of my least favorites, honestly, I kind of didn't like The Spy Who Loved Me. The musical score just kind of drove me crazy.
All right.
When the music just sounds kind of cheesy, that's a total turn off,
Yeah, understood.
movie-wise.
Any other least favorites, David, or just Quantum?
Quantum, that's the obvious one. Octopussy wasn't that great.
Okay.
I don't want to say anymore. Just same reasons as Matt. I don't want to get in trouble on here.
I gotcha. I'll name my top 5 favorite Bond movies: From Russia with Love, The Living Daylights, Casino Royale, For Your Eyes Only, and Goldfinger. And I'm sure you'll notice 4 of those are really intense, straightforward spy movies, and that's kind of where I come from. I'm kind of the opposite of you, Grant. I really am not a fan of the goofy nature of some of the Bond films, but of course Goldfinger's there because it's just a classic. It had so many iconic moments that just it's all there. You have the laser scene. You have Oddjob cutting heads off with his hat. You've got You've got Bond for the first time using a gadget car. You've got the woman in gold. You've got Bond fighting Odd Job, which I thought was fantastic. So you got all those iconic moments in one movie. I just couldn't not include that when I'm saying a top films. But as I said before, From Russia with Love is my favorite film, and that fight, as Matt already said it, but there's that fight between Bond and Donald Grant, and there's the verbal play in between them, and then it eventually turns into a physical fight between them. It's just everything about that. They're both these professional spies, and both of them, in the big picture, are not that important in their respective organizations. But seeing them together, they don't have to blatantly say that they're rivals. With Bond and Trevelyan, they kind of had to explicitly say that they're both 00 agents. But with Donald Grant and with James Bond, it was so subtle in the way they're staring at each other. And with Donald Grant, you see that there's kind of this little hatred towards Bond, because I don't know, I kind of see this thing where Donald Grant isn't as a fun a person to be around. He's up to that point, he hadn't said a word in the movie. But he sees James Bond. He's so fit in his place in the world. He's so well adjusted, and it seems like Donald Grant isn't. So there's this little conflict. He just hates Bond so much. He goes up to Bond and hits him in the face, and then when he tells Bond how he's going to die, he says the first one won't kill you, not the second, not even the third. I'll name my bottom two. Grant, I hate to throw this one in there, but The Man with the Golden Gun, despite having my favorite villain in the series, it actually has my favorite villain in the series. I ranked that one really low just because the silliness got a little too far. And Grant, you named Octopussy, and you and David both named Octopussy as your lowest ones. And that one had about the same level of goofiness, but I found with Octopussy, when there was a humorous part, it didn't directly affect the plot. Even Bond dressed as a clown, if he was dressed up as something else, it wouldn't have affected the plot that much. And then there's the Tarzan yell, which I hate. But after that, they don't reference it again. They don't go back to it. With The Man with the Golden Gun, you have Mary Goodnight, and all of her stupidity directly affects the plot. And
Yeah.
And it affects the plot 3 times at least. And of course there's that secondary villain who decides to kill Bond by putting him in a karate studio. Yeah, that's gonna kill him. And then there's Lieutenant Hip. He's so terrible. He goes to the karate studio to save Bond, then he leaves him there for no reason. In fact, I think that you could, if you cut out Lieutenant Hip showing up at that scene at all, it would flow that much better. He could just go right to the boat chase. There you go. Diamonds Are Forever is my least favorite Bond film for obvious reasons. That's the first time in a Bond film that I saw Bond as a caricature. And I hate the fact that it was Sean Connery in the role when that was happening. Let's see. Favorite and least favorite Bond girl. Matt, why don't you start us off?
Okay, for my favorite, I'm gonna have to go with Domino, because I think plot-wise this is a good idea. Bond sleeping with women in order to further his mission, rather than sleeping with women in a way that endangers his mission, which is like on Her Majesty's Secret Service. He's not helping himself out by doing that. It seems irresponsible, but it's a good idea, and they did it in Goldfinger as well, but I thought that was just too silly. She has Pussy Galore has too many resources, and I guess there's the novel thing where she's no longer a lesbian or something. And
yes, that's
I guess
right. That's right.
It's just too much. But I think that Domino is that plot, but done correctly. And least favorite, I think her name is Stacey Sutton.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
A View to a Kill.
And this character is just an annoying, yelling lump of flesh. That's and her effect
James.
on the plot. Her effect on the plot is that James Bond has to carry around this yelling thing and risk his life because she's there. Why is she there?
I remember all of us cracking up when Bond gets to the secret base. He pulls up to it in his car, and he just kind of nudges Stacey like, "Wake up, we're here." It's like, why is she even with him?
Yeah.
She's just not useful in any way.
Right,
Like
exactly.
she's like she's baggage.
Okay. Grant, your favorite and least favorite Bond girl?
One I find kind of different from others is Natalia from GoldenEye, because she's sort of established as a likable, interesting character for the whole first act of the movie without ever having actually met Bond. And I like that. And because it was sort of like moving Bond into the 21st century and everything, they kind of gave Natalia this thing where she was good at computers, or you know. So there would be a situation where they were trapped on a train, and Bond is using his spy know-how to break out, while Natalia was using her computer know-how to do some kind of computer thing that I forgot. But it's cool because she can serve as an ally to Bond by being able to do something that he's unable to do, as opposed to him simply being the guy that does everything, and she just kind of is scared and nervous, or maybe, you know, she's a likable person, but she's not good at fighting. And even though Natalia wasn't good at fighting, they gave her something that she was able to do, where she was an integral character to the plot. And they established her as someone who maybe wasn't a true Bond's true love that they were going to stay together forever, but she was someone who had a healthy sexual attraction to, and I think that's sort of what being a Bond girl is about.
Okay, and least favorite Bond girl?
My least favorite Bond girl is Jinx.
All right.
Because Jinx is terrible. The whole point of Jinx was they tried to kind of create, like, oh, look at me, I'm a hip-talking, cool cat, female James Bond, but I'm from America, and I kick butt while looking hot, and I'm awesome. But then she gets there, and she gets captured, was it twice? Or was it 3 times? I don't know. She gets captured a lot, and Bond rescues her. I distinctly remember a scene in the movie where the plane was going down, and Jinx was like huddled into a ball in the corner, and Bond comes up to her, and Jinx is like, "Looks like we're going down together." And Bond says, "No, why don't we go to the controls and see if maybe we can land the plane safely? let's just try." You know.
For favorites, there's actually have 2.
All right, name them both.
I like Aki from You Only Live Twice, and Electric King from The World Is Not Enough. Those are my 2 favorites. Least favorites, honestly, I don't really have one.
Okay.
I like them all.
All right.
You like Jinx?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Jinx.
Hate
All right.
Jinx.
Okay, so my favorite Bond girl would be Holly Goodhead from Moonraker. Just because she was the only, I wouldn't say the only, but probably one of the first Bond girls I saw who actually struck me as an adult. She's what Jinx, in my opinion, should have been. She wasn't better than Bond, but she was good enough to get through. And when she gets captured, Bond also gets captured. Bond just by sheer luck escapes, but she stays captured. It's not like she gets captured and Bond has to save her. They end up both in the same place, and they both have to escape together. And I thought that worked really well, but she never upstaged Bond, which I think is an important thing when you're introducing a Bond girl who's more or less his equal. And for least favorite, I have to say Paris Carver, just because they try to establish her as Bond's true love, but it didn't work at all. And of course, like I said, we see Bond smiling when he's playing with his car immediately after, not the scene immediately after she dies.
Yeah.
Of course, she's played by Terry Hatcher, who I think in other things does a decent job, but as Paris Carver, she was just awful.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Bad performance.
Yeah, bad performance. And she set the precedent for bad Bond girls in the subsequent films, Christmas Jones and Jinx. Favorite and least favorite villain? David, let's start with you.
Least favorite villain, is Blofeld. I just dislike
All
Blofeld.
versions of Blofeld.
Yeah, all versions of Blofeld. And favorite villain? Just come back to me on that one.
All right, I'll come back to you. All right, Matt, favorite and least favorite villain.
Well, I already mentioned Rosa Klebb as a villain that I like, but I think my favorite would have to be, actually, I'm in the same situation as you mentioned. You didn't like Man with a Golden Gun, but you like Scaramanga.
Yeah.
And I really don't like On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but I really like Blofeld in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. The Telly Savalas Blofeld.
Right.
Does a great job being intimidating. He has a sort of captivating voice, and he seems like the Blofeld from the books.
Yeah.
Right? Because in a lot of the other portrayals of Blofeld, he's sort of behind a curtain, or he's this mysterious man. What is he like? But in the books, Spectre sort of worships Blofeld. Like, he stares everybody directly in the face, and he has like a charismatic, commanding power over them. And you sort of get that feeling when Savalas is sort of staring Bond down, sort of playing with his cigarette and just telling him about this ridiculous evil plan he's going to take over the world. It just, it's sort of very classic, iconic portrayal, I think. And least favorite, I'd probably have to go with Diamonds Are Forever Blofeld, just because it's so far away from that that it's just, I can't enjoy it.
All right, Grant, favorite and least favorite villain.
For favorite, I would have to go with Blofeld.
Really?
Yeah, but
Oh,
the reason I like Blofeld a lot is because I like I like the idea of continuity in the films. So I really thought that the early films had this really cool thing going on, in that there was this continuous sort of diabolical force that was constantly threatening the security of the world. And I liked that Blofeld was sort of this reoccurring villain that was almost, even though he was constantly being thwarted by Bond, the fact that he could continue on to be a threat in future movies showed that he was this strong force to be almost evil nemesis to Bond. And I like that. And I feel like after the character of Blofeld was lost or killed, the films didn't really have that anymore. Each film was sort of a standalone story which would introduce a brand new villain who would then be defeated and killed by Bond in that film. And while that's fine for a few films, Goldfinger and others, I think I like the idea of not having to necessarily reintroduce villains every single movie, and it would make some movies stronger if they could continue on. And my least favorite villains are the ones who are obviously trying to be Blofeld, but they can't be. David just texted me, Blofeld sucks.
Oh.
He's sitting right there. A funny character.
Favorite villain, I think, will be Goldfinger.
Okay.
I think it's just funny how Bond, he always plays pranks on him. Doesn't even really take Goldfinger that seriously.
All right.
He's fat.
Yeah, it's a funny villain. I know Matt's gonna not like this. I think he already knows what I'm gonna say, but I think Jaws is probably one of my favorite. Most people don't like him because he's, this big, unstoppable guy.
Yeah.
But that's why I do like him. If Jaws teamed up with like Daniel Craig, that would be quite a team.
Well, obviously I have to go with Donald Grant for all the reasons you mentioned about From Russia with Love. But I want to give honorable mention to Baron Samedi, who I like just because he's so weird and mysterious, and he lives at the end, which is sort of breaks from the formula. He's just sort of laughing and not trying to kill Bond or anything, just sort of glad to be evil and alive.
Sitting on a train.
And I like that Winton Kid are just, they do ridiculous things and they just sort of love being completely absurd and making no sense in the ways they try to kill people. and I hate Jaws. Least favorite scene has definitely got to be Jaws falling in love. I think poor Tchaikovsky, I don't know,
Yeah.
just rolling in his grave when they
Yeah.
play that movie. It's just, it's bad. It's,
I agree.
I mean, in a cartoon, I could buy this. You got the old Bugs Bunny cartoons or whatever. They need to use the free classical music, and you know that's fine. I can enjoy that in a Bugs Bunny cartoon, but not in a James Bond movie.
You Know My Name. I like it. I think it's a great song. And it's sung by one of my favorite singers, Chris Cornell. And second choice would be the Quantum Song.
Well, my favorite Bond song is "Live and Let Die." It's because I think it fits in really well with sort of the tone of that movie, and it's also, I think, as far as the lyrics go, I think it's a good song about Bond, because it's sort of got this weird feel to him where he's just going through his life and everyone around him is dying, either because he's killing them or they die because they associate with him, and it's sort of a tragic aspect to his character. So it's kind of it's a neat little cynical take on what Bond is like. Like he's in this, according to the song, his philosophy has become, just do what you gotta do, and people die, big deal.
Are you a Beatles fan, Matt?
I'm not a big Beatles fan, or a big Wings fan, I guess, which was Paul McCartney was in Wings when he did that, but I like it.
All right. Grant.
It's Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
All right.